All right, and we should be live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jerry's Live. My name is Mott Tuman. I'm very excited to introduce some lovely guests that we have tonight from Daniel Smith. We have Giovanni and Scott hosting this show tonight. So for any of you that want to check out any of the supplies that they will be using in their presentation tonight, make sure you go to JerrysArtarama.com and type in the class code for tonight, which is JL306 into the search bar. That'll bring up the teacher's cart, with all the supplies that Giovanni will be using. And yeah, I'm very excited to hand this off to you guys. I'm going to get myself out of the way so they can get right into their presentation. So let me just remove myself and you guys are good to go.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Scott Stevenson. I am a brand ambassador with Daniel Smith, and I'm joined here with my friend Giovanni Balzarani from Rome, Italy. So today, just before we kick off Giovanni's demo, I wanted to just spend a moment and give you a little brief history lesson on Daniel Smith. It actually started way back in 1976 when the namesake of our company, Daniel Smith, was actually working at the University of Washington's print department where they printed the school newspaper. And one day, him and his friends were standing around the printing press, and they were not very happy with the quality of the ink that they were using. So they went around the room and said, hey, you know, how about you see if you can make a better ink? And then it went all the way around the room. And then it finally came to Dan, and Dan, being kind of an entrepreneurial kind of guy, said, sure. So he went ahead and he found the best black pigment he could find, the best oil-based binder, brought it back to his parents' basement, and started to make the first batches of ink. So he brought the ink back to the school, and they put it on the press, and it was much better than what they were using. So it didn't take long for the school art department to hear about this wonderful black ink that the newspaper now had, and wondered if Dan would make them a batch for himself. So Dan went ahead and did that and delivered the ink, and the department really loved it. So they asked him to come back and make about 5 or 6 more colors. So Dan went ahead and did that, and then suddenly things began to grow and grow and grow, and eventually it got to the point where Dan was wondering if he could really kind of make it on his own as not only as somebody that makes ink, but also makes paint. So in 1989, Dan Smith decides to make his second product, which is the Daniel Smith Original Oils. But it wasn't until 1993 that Dan decided that he wanted to make watercolor. So one thing about Dan was that Dan didn't know a lot about watercolor, so he always cultivated this interest and desire to work with artists to make exactly what they wanted. So Dan talked to many different people all around the world and got their input, and then took all of that input and brought it back to him, and artists started to use his wonderful watercolor and really started to take off. And then about 5 years into it, in 1998, Dan decided to do something that was very unique and different, and that was to take minerals or rocks that ancient civilizations used for pigment and make these colors available for artists of today. So, and that really started to kick off our what we call our primitive collection, which is all of our colors that are derived from minerals. So from that point on, we started to grow and grow and grow, and at this point, Daniel Smith has 266 colors to offer artists like you, and we're so pleased that you're here with us today, so that you can see Giovanni really kind of show you the ins and outs of how Daniel Smith can work for you. But to give you a little bit more information about Giovanni, Giovanni, like I said, is from Rome, Italy. He is also one of our most esteemed brand ambassadors. And he has a lot of different things. He's very interesting. He's worked as a restoration expert in various Italian cities. He's nationally recognized here in the US by the American National Watercolor Society and the Northwest Watercolor Society. His artworks focus on still life, on metal and glass and other objects, on contemporary urban landscapes, while embracing the hyper-realistic style influenced by masters of pop art and photorealism. So it's my honor to hand it over to my good friend Giovanni.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Scott, and thank you, Mott, for JerrysArtarama. And nice to meet you, to be a partner, and it's an honor for me. Sorry for my English, and my wife helping me. And thank you for your words. And I am Giovanni Balzarani. I'm a professional painter from Italy, and working for watercolor in the professional life 10 years. I started 10 years ago, after the graduating in Academy of Fine Art in Rome, and after the work in restoration. And my life is completely changed when I use the Daniel Smith watercolor, because there is a very, very unique color for me, especially the blacks. is a very special for me. And this is my website, and all the contacts is a Facebook, Instagram, and this is my website. And this is my palette. Sorry, I like little zoom back down. Okay. And explaining my palette is the color is blue apatite, lunar blue, cascade green, jadeite, cobaltite blue, Mayan blue genuine, Payne's blue gray, Aussie red gold, quinacridone gold, pyrrole orange, cadmium red media hue, aureolin, imperial purple, Prussian green, Naples yellow, neutral tint, banding brown, and lunar black. This is my palette, and this is the photo reference for the today. This work, usually I'm completely and working for 1 week is very, very fast for me, but I try to explain the process for the my still life. All the image when I painting is original, is all original. In my studio, I have a mini limbo for the photograph, for the composition. This is a simple image, not in monochrome, but in grayscale. It's most important in grayscale because I use for the underpainting, for the, in Europe called the grisaille, I use the color before the lamp black. I showed this for example, another painting for the demo. I use this black and the color in back, for example, in this part. And another little demo I use in this part. Okay, and for example, these are little test when I use the underpainting green for studying the grayscale. I prefer use the color before, because it's important for study the trichromics, for create the shadows in the shadow, black and in black. Okay, I starting for the my work. This is a photo reference, and I use for the transferring the drawing this old system for with my pencil. Why the question is why I use this method and not the normal tracing paper or another system? Because in this case, I decided the perfect quantity of graphite when I use. In this case, I use the 5B, is a very strong, and apply in this case, in this mode, sorry. Crossing. And turn it around and position my photo reference. And for the design, I use 4H, is a very hard pencil. I use this because when I drawing, I regulation my hand pressure, and in the I created this little graving sign, and this sign is perfect on my work, because when I use the glaze, the wash, the water stopped. Is very perfect. And usually I use the paper 600 grams, but in this case I use 300 grams. Is this paper. I use this paper is Fabriano Artistico 100% cotton, is an extra wide. This is important, extra wide, because the extra wide is better for the black shadow and the color. It's very bright paper. And when I apply this, I continue with my pencil, the drawing and the details. And after my drawings, apply the masking tape for covering the skyline of object. I use this masking tape, is normal masking tape, and apply in this mode. Or prepare cutting mode. Okay. It's not necessary for me covering all, because when I use the color with the sponge, is not very dirt. Okay. Okay, this part is very important. Now I use the knife for cutting, but it's very important the different. Don't use, for example, sorry, under focus, this type of knife, because this type is not recommended for the control. Is very big. It usually is for the hobby, but the knife is perfect. This for modeling is very perfect for this situation, because the end pressure is very important, because not in this case I use the 300 gram. Is very easy to cut the paper, but before the cutting I use my roller print for apply very well In this case, this masking tape I have a low glue inside. It's not low adhesivity, but I have a low glue inside. Okay. And now I apply only the tool weights, not pressure in my hand for the first time, because I create the engraving line, especially when I use the 300 grams paper. I use the little pressure when I arrive on the double glaze of tape. Only for the first step. This paper is 140 pounds. For the 640 grams, it is more easy because the paper thickness is big and perfect for cutting. But when I use the 300 grams, it's a big exercise for your hand pressure. Okay, this is a first step. I try to remove. Be careful, I recommend. Okay, I don't cut. Another line without pressure. I continue. I have my first line guide me on perfect cutting. I try to remove, it's perfect. Okay. Okay. Now it's perfect. When I arrive on the double tape, I need more cutting. Okay. When I remove, don't use the knife in this side, but with another side for your safety. Okay. It's perfect knife, perfect cutting, sorry. I remove this. Okay. Now I apply another line for maintain
Really quick, Giovanni, we had a question in the chat. Graham wanted to know if you ever use masking fluid instead of masking tape.
Yeah, in this case, I'm very fast, but usually when I have the more details, I use the masking tape half centimeters near the line, and this part I covered with masking fluid. For example, I showed one example. In this case, apply on this. This is a little test. And apply near the line and covering the line.
Oh, cool.
Now I use the bottle, but usually I use the or the bottle with the tips inside in the back. In the back is perfect for the many detail, but I prefer the brush when I apply the masking fluid. It is recommended when I use this bottle, especially with the dips, don't shake before for the air bubbles. It's very, very important. Okay. Now, for the black background, I decided with my photo reference, it is a grayscale. I decided to use or a light underpainting or warm underpainting or cool underpainting, and show the example. In this case, this is a for my black background. I use the sea sponge. This sea sponge is a natural sea sponge. In this case, I buy this sponge in with a fisherman in Greece. It's very, very beautiful sponge. It's recommended when I buy to the fisherman. It's important to wash for delete the salt, sea salt. And when I use it, I cut in my sea sponge for the many colors. Okay, this first line is starting with my 3 selection color on watercolor sticks. This tool is very, very beautiful and versatile for me. Is Alza Yellow Medium, Quinacridone Coral, and Cobalt Blue. The sticks is very important for me because these 3 colors is monopigment, is very, very strong, have a few parts of water and gamma Arabic side, is very, very strong. It's perfect for create the trichromics, primary color and primary mixing, and create many type of underpainting. In this case, I create the light underpainting, starting with Alza Yellow Medium, and apply the second glaze with Cobalt Blue and the third glaze with Queen Coral. In the second line, starting for the warm with Quinacridone Coral, and second Alza Yellow Medium, and the third is Cobalt Blue. And for the cool, is starting for Cobalt Blue and Alza Yellow Medium and Quinacridone Coral. It changed only the sequence. When I applied this color. I show now when I prepare in my cups, ceramics cups, and when I prepare the sticks and a little piece of sponge, I use my dropper for the perfect quantity of water. It's recommended to use the clean water. I prefer the distilled water, but it's okay, the tap water. And apply my sticks, put in the ceramic cup for dilute the color. I prefer this mode for decide with my hand pressure the perfect quantity of color. Cobalt blue. Okay. After this, little shaking. Okay. Okay, this color is ready. In this case, I decided for the, with my photo reference, I decided to use the second line. I use the warm and starting with quinacridone coral before the black. I use it in this mode. I'm not covering this part, but if you need, is covering all the painting, if you want, sorry, for major security. And starting the second layer with wet on wet outside yellow medium. The second layer, when I stay in the top of the painting, I cover completely the white hole with the color. And the third layer is cobalt blue, starting from the top. It's important this part use wet on wet, in this case for create a unique layer before the first layer of lamp black. Now it is very fast, this part, but it's important not use the hair dryer, because the hair dryer is very dangerous for the paper fiber. I prefer the dry naturally. This part of paint is very, very long, because when I use the lamp black, in this case, I create many layer glaze for before they arrive in my result. But is another big solution, quick solution is a lamp black of gouache. It's very fast. It's completely opaque. One glaze is perfect. But my mind is different. Okay, when I dry this part, I use the lamp black. Now is wet on wet, but I use in this mode for arriving at this result.
Really quick, Giovanni, for clarification, Shelley wanted to know, you started out with dry paper before you put the sponge down, and then after that it was working wet and wet, correct?
Yeah, perfect. Okay, when I decided that my painting, my black is okay, remove the masking tape, and for arrive at this result, it's completely black. But it's very, very easy, but it's very, very long. Because when I arrive on this black is minimum 10, 12, 20 layers. One of my most famous painting, I used 50 layers. It's very, very long process, but it's very perfect because I created a black with little movement. It's not completely flat. I have the shadow in the shadow with black. The lamp black is very, very perfect. It's semi-transparent. It's completely not semi-transparent. Sorry, it's opaque, but it's very different from gouache. It's perfect. This is my. I use for this only the sticks for the lamp black. It's very beautiful, beautiful color and perfect for my black background. And now after this, the most important deciding this part, use the masking fluid for the point of light, or use the titanium white gouache after the painting. In this part, I decided this. Now I decided to apply the masking fluid, but after I use the titanium white or gouache or watercolor sticks. It's perfect all together. Okay. For the masking fluid, this process is recommended and very, very important, because now I use the masking fluid with the brush. I apply my masking fluid in the metal palette, mini palette, and I use the masking brush. Is a simple brush, synthetics, is an economical brush. Is recommended for the masking fluid, and don't use the Kolinsky Natural because it is expensive for this this process. And I decided with my photo reference the application in this little point of masking fluid of white, sorry. But this another process is important. I use my soap for cleaning the brush. Why? Because I use this, because the soap, when I use the masking brush, is protecting the filament of brush, and the application for the soap is very, very important. I use, in this case, and rotate and go back. not in front, because the point of brush is very easy to remove. Okay, because the soap creates a film for protection. And now I use my masking fluid. It's very important when I use the masking fluid, especially with the brush or the tips. Don't use the masking fluid only with the fast brush strokes. In this case, I showed it not very fast, but create the metallic surface, because it's easy for remove after, not fast. Is important this. This masking fluid from Daniel Smith is very good. It's little tinted for the better view. When drying is similar to candy color, caramel color. It's recommended don't use the hair dryer for dry the masking fluid, because it's a natural. Okay, now this part is very, very important. I clean in my brush from masking fluid, but the big recommendation, don't use this water for the watercolor. Never. Change, and I use the clean water. Is recommended. Okay. This is a rubber cement for remove after. I show this. In this case, the part is perfect to remove. Don't use the fingers. It's not recommended. Many people use the fingers. Okay. This part, for example, is very easy and don't sign the paper, but with the finger is not good. Okay. Now, when I waiting a moment for the drying, I prepare my my color, my mixed color for the painting is lamb black and gray titanium. Why this two color? Because the painting, my photography is a gray scale, and it's not possible to use only the lamb black. And apply the little point of gray titanium is perfect for create the warm black. I prefer this mix. Okay, I take my ceramic caps. Okay. And I starting with gray titanium, not with lamb black, for create a warm water Okay. In this case, not put inside the sticks, but take directly with brush and create my dark color with patience. Okay. The first step, I use the water for all the surface. For creating a little layer of gray. Sorry. With the same brush, apply a little glaze. Only in this part. Very, very little brush strokes. I create in this demo the base for my painting, and starting with the same brush. Okay, in this part the color is okay. I use this brush for the first glaze. A big brush. I'm starting with the first glaze of my cup. Okay, with my photo reference. Okay, apply a little zoom. It continues with the gray. Apply. Oops. The line, gray line. The base for the sign. Usually I paint in a vertical mode. Now it's completely flat. But it's not easy for me, but it's okay. I starting in the first mini detail. And apply more water for my gray base. I continue in the down with my gray base. Okay, and when I waiting to dry, apply my first layer of the shadow. I use the water. With the same gray. And apply only the line. Okay, this is my first layer of gray. In this case, I continue to for more black. For more another value tone from gray and restart my caps. Probably in this demo, I finished only this part because it's very long process. And apply another line. Okay. In this case, I was the number 8, but change, use the number 1 for starting the first glaze of the detail. Okay. Change and apply the layer on my part. Okay. And remove the paint for the point of light. And continues my parts in my photo reference, for example, this part of the sign directly from the sticks. It's not easy, this part. This is very small. And in the vertical mode is more easy because the hand pressure is different. And the same, I use my brush. Inside the okay. With this color, starting the first glaze with a small brush. First glaze of black. This part is a long process because arrive at dark black after many layers. For practice the hyperrealistic style, need the passion. And the time.
Giovanni, you mentioned at some point that you typically paint vertically. When you paint horizontally, do you have to rest your hand on the paper at all?
Yep. Yeah, when I painted, usually I never paint in the horizontal mode, but when I paint it, I prefer the flat. Don't use the little angle. My best mode is totally vertical mode, but very. And now I create the curves. And is that one of the big questions when I painting in the vertical mode, when I use the wash, the glaze with a lot of quantity of water. Do you have a problem? No, because the vertical mode is a big exercise for training your hands, your mind. Okay, starting in this case. The glaze, the glass in the hyperrealistic style is very hard because I have a many layer for create the reflection, the transparency, and the big difficult is the white point. Okay, waiting this and starting for another layer. In this case, I have the waves on the sheet, but usually I use this 600 grams. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay. I reduce a little zoom. Okay. And now continue for my, oops, sorry. The tail. In this case, I use the brush round point, or for create these, I use the mini flat. It's perfect for create the bright.
Really quickly here, for anyone who has any last questions for Giovanni about his techniques, make sure you get them in now because we're running very close to the end here. I'll let Giovanni take it from here, wrap up whatever he wants to show you guys, and make sure get any last questions you want in now. I will be coming back through the chat later to answer any questions about materials he was using or anything else after the show has ended. So don't worry if your question does not get answered.
Yeah. Okay. Now continue stroke. This is a glass of strawberry jams. Little glass. I create another glaze of my gray. Okay, continues. I continues very sparse when I'm waiting the dry parts, but usually when I create this type of painting and the part immediately. For example, when I painted this part, I ended completely. Before starting another part. I prefer use this particular mode of little brush strokes or pointillism for arriving at black for creating the movement. I don't like the completely in one strokes the black. Because when I work in my whole jobs, restoration job is important is for creating many layers. This is a little base for a million dots. Okay, and I'll apply more black in the gray. Starting Okay. When I apply many glazer, decided the transparency of glass. Okay, this part is very strong. Okay. This part. Okay, now I continue my strong black. Continues this part. Don't arrive perfectly in the black. Remain the little white line or create the highlights. It's very little.
Okay, I am so sorry to cut you off, Giovanni, but it looks like we are right about on time here. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring Scott and I back up really quickly.
Okay, I removed only this is masking fluid for the white point, or use the titanium white gouache directly from the tube, or create the more white point.
I'm gonna zoom back in real quick so people can see what you're doing.
Oh yeah. Zoom.
While
Orange.
Giovanni's doing this, I just want to say really quickly, if any of you would like to follow him on social media and see some of his artwork, finished pieces in color, make sure you go back to the beginning of this video where he shows all of his social media handles so you can follow him there.
It's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very fast. This is the last. Now it's drying. Remove my tape. Ready for the painting. Oops. Okay. Okay.
Great. Okay. Now I will bring us all back up really quickly.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. I got to move around a lot of little screens here. Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. Giovanni, that was absolutely amazing. You have some really great techniques that everyone really loved in the comments. Yes. Make sure you check us out next week. Emmy's going to be doing a show on Facebook and YouTube all about gesso. So you'll be able to learn all the ins and outs of gessoing any surface and all the different types and everything. Again, thank you so much for coming tonight. Giovanni, if you end up finishing this piece, I know this is just an example for our demo, but if you do and you want to post it on social media afterwards, you can tag JerrysArtarama and we would happily share it to our story for everyone to see.
Absolutely.
And finally, I need to mention this. Amanda, our moderator, posted the color chart for Daniel Smith in our comments. So if any of you want to see Daniel Smith's full range of colors and everything they have to offer, you can find the link in our chat. And yeah, thank you guys so much for coming tonight. It was absolutely wonderful.
Our pleasure.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Okay. Say bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.